Sean O'Malley made a fantastic statement. It was more an argument, right? An argument starts with a statement, and then you've got to come in and back it up. And all that Sean O'Malley said is the UFC is freezing Conor McGregor out because they would lose money. Sean O'Malley went into detail talking about the business model and how it has changed. And as interesting it was to hear what Sean was saying, you had to know what Sean was not saying. You had to know the part that he was living at. And I've played this same game a million times with you guys, where I'm trying to give you just enough without putting myself into a pool of that information quits flowing my way because I didn't preserve it. It was very interesting to listen to. And it does beg a very interesting question. Does the UFC need Conor McGregor? And that is where the reality starts to be a little bit cold. Because there can be two truths that seem polar opposites that are accurate at the same time. For example, does the UFC need Conor McGregor? No. Well, Chael, how do you get to that? Well, they haven't had Conor a meaningful period of time. In fact, I can't remember when, but I think it was 2 years. And they sold out event after event after event. But it is also true to understand Red Panty Night is real. Conor McGregor is the biggest star, and whether you're selling out or not, there's different level of box office that you can sell out talking about who your bigger draw is. Oh, and by the way, you've also got a pay-per-view portion of which they list the top 10 records, and all 10 belong Conor McGregor. That's also true. The single greatest marketing tool in the history of our industry is the Ultimate Fighter. There is not a close second. And Contender Series is starting to make a dent in that, but it doesn't quite have the history. So then you take Michael Chandler, who's a top 10 star in his own right. Conor McGregor, Red Panty Night being number one. You put them with the vehicle of the Ultimate Fighter. You have something very special and very massive there, without question. Do you need to have that when the business models have changed? And here's where things start to get very complicated. And they do, in fact, get very complicated. A number of your bigger stars, even to go back, right? If I was to go back 10 years ago, the discussion that I'm having with you about pay-per-view is wildly different than the discussion I'm having with you about pay-per-view today. Ever since the digital era came along, pay-per-view as you know it is not remotely close to what it used to be. Now, let's say that I did one of those contracts and it was built in and it was pay-per-view and it was very beautiful and it was everything that I could ever want, everything that I ever heard of these other top fighters, from Lennox Lewis to Mike Tyson on down. I've got the same thing within pay-per-view, but let's just say that model changes. I mean, not for nothing, this actually got tested in a little bit clearer situation where you had pay-per-view draws, pay-per-view stars who were making very good pay-per-view money, and there was a deal that came along with a network called Fox. So when those very fights in that same kind of action with those same top-drawing athletes went over to Fox, there was no pay-per-view clause for you to participate in because it now wasn't even on pay-per-view. Just for example, but that didn't happen for the longest of times. From the time of the sale to Zuffa LLC in 2001, it was for many, many years, well over a decade, that there was no product that was on television or able to even be seen that wasn't on pay-per-view. So for you to go in and negotiate a contract based on what it used to be would make a level of sense, and then it changes. And if you were in Conor McGregor's situation, which is you had the most beautiful contract out there, but you got removed for a period of time. In this case, guys, I want to say it's about 2 years. That fight with Dustin Poirier, I want to say that was about 2 years, but this is off the top of my head. But when you're in an ever-changing world, not only ownership is changing, the business model is changing, to number one distribution partner is changing, to the way that sponsorships and sponsors are done is changing, to the way gaming and likeness fees and trademarks and rights and acquisitions, intellectual properties, all of these things are changing very quickly, and you've been on the sidelines. It's very hard for you to keep up. And so when you come back to the table, everybody's going to want to say, hey, we've already got a contract. This is the contract and this is the agreement. And you're going to have one side that says, yeah, but that's not the way that you do business anymore. Well, yeah, but that was one of the risks that I did when we did the deal. You could have fought at any time. You could have really capitalized and maximized. The fact that you didn't doesn't have anything to do with me. I mean, just for example, this thing could have fallen forward that made your contract much better. I'm still going to honor it. I'm going to honor the contract, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to honor it. But make no mistake, my model and my promise to the community has never changed. This is the ultimate proving ground, where the best are going to fight the best. You either need to establish that you are a champion, or you have the potential to become a champion. And as soon as it is demonstrated and clear that you are neither, you don't fight here anymore. And that is very cold, guys, but that is the deal. That's the deal that Dana has made with you, the public. And he has fiercely adhered to that deal. Now, of course, there's going to be exceptions along the way. Of course there are. Of course, if somebody is hurt and contracts change, you're still the sport's biggest star. You've still done things very well, but now you start to see where these conversations start to take place. And if you want to get smartened up on the business, there's a few things that you can do. There's a few things, but go listen to Sean O'Malley is one of them. Sean's not going to hand you all of the answers, but he has made it very clear that he does have those answers. So when you listen to him and then listen to him a second time and listen to him a third time, then come over here to Uncle Chael and you start going back and forth. It's not just what Sean is going to say or what Chael is going to say. It's also what we don't say. And it's important that you do know, and it's important that you do listen and you do follow these types of things. You've got to know the industry. You've got to know the industry that you're in if you want to operate within the industry or if you want to manipulate the industry. And I would encourage people. I mean, there's a few things that are almost a riddle. Why was the BMF belt never defended? If you want to know, if you want to really smarten yourself to what it is going on around you, if you can figure that out, you will know a lot. Why is there a ceremonial weigh-in? Why do you run towards regulation as opposed to from it? Now, I'm going way back. I'm giving you the A to Z, but if you can answer those three questions, you'll know everything about this industry. And I guarantee you, you can talk to people who have worked in this industry for 20 years. There's less than 5 of them that can answer all 3 of those questions.